Alright, give me a second here so I can get Tyler on the phone. Come on, work, you stupid thing. Let's see, Tyler. There he is. Ah! Who called me? Good evening, everyone. I am Tyler. I play Eivor, the Dragonborn Druid, in D20 Misfits. I started getting introduced to D&D during my first couple years of high school. I tried to get a group together, but I never really did. I wasn't until I was brought into the D20 Misfits during my first semester of college with Timber, aka Ryo, with his running a Icewind Dale campaign, and as that dwindled in, my character was pushed over to D20 Misfits and Curse of Strahd. When creating a character, I always try to think about their perspective. Like, if it's a druid, like, how would they live the world? Like, what would their impacts be? Like, what would they think? It's also important to know, like, with the setting of it, will that impact the character as well? Like, if I were to, like, for example, my character, I want my character to be a character that was built for many different terrains, different environments, but still hold ideals to himself. So with me doing a druid, I figured I might as well do something that can be like adopt a race, like a dragonborn or a Goliath. I definitely think that like in D&D, you can make any kind of class and race what you want. Some work well, and others some are very unpredictable. It's just how, like, to me, there's so ways to make a character, but for D&D, anyone can make a character any way they want. To be honest, with that question, I cannot see that before Eivor was in his previous party, he was basically by himself. He kept to himself and he did what he can for himself. When he went to the first group, he eventually took charge. But when he went to D20 Misfits, he kind of went into this role of making sure everyone stays alive to the best of their ability. And even though Eivor does not talk much, as well as myself in some cases, he still looks after the party the best he can, and that has definitely been shown throughout some of the sessions. One of my favorite characters I've played, or at least like making a design for, has to be a kobold sorcerer named Glint. And he was basically a con man that did every single trick in the book to get something his way, possibly. Whether it be getting money against a rare item or just doing something that needed to be done. I definitely think D&D is important because it allows for a lot of freedom. I mean, there's other RPGs that can allow for like creation freedom and all that, but when it comes to D&D, it's definitely something special for a lot of people. It's been around for an extremely long time. This is the 5th edition. We're going to a new edition here real soon, very similar. But all in all, it's something that a lot of people find extremely iconic, and and with how D&D has evolved nowadays, D&D can be almost anything that anyone imagines to be, as long as they put the heart and soul into it. When I was in school, I wasn't really like a social kid. I was usually the kid that was like, get work done during study hall, no real clubs or activities, go home, just be to myself. I wasn't really a social kid, but being open the doors to D&D, it allowed me to get more social connections to more ideas, more surrounds of the world, or at least for my friends, because I know some friends that live in Europe, and I play D&D with them every now and then. So if I never got into D&D. If I was exposed to it, I might be completely different from where I am right now. It definitely has changed my life. Now, unlike everyone else, they have the luxury of being in person for the vast majority of the sessions. I have to do it remote due to real life implications. So it's hard to say what the most like about how each individual is because I only know them from like a virtual standpoint. Like I haven't been able to give them a high five or a fist bump, or they haven't been able to put my head down in the wall or something. Well, we're not that violent. Maybe. But overall, I really do appreciate Frank being willing to extend the virtual arm to allow me to participate from my distance. I'm really grateful for that. And something I'm so grateful now. Now, with being virtual, I have like a lot of, like compared to like everyone else being cramped at a table, I have a lot more space. I can lay out all my dice, get some books here and there, have a separate dice tray to fudge my dice if I really wanted to, which I don't. I don't, Frank. I tell them the truth. I do not fudge my dice. I don't. But in all honesty, I still wish I would do it in person, but I make do what I have from the distance. One of the favorite parts or chapters was definitely going through the Amber Temple because before we got to the Amber Temple, we were going through hell, and when we're inside, we're talking to hell basically. It definitely gives a good point, like emotional standpoint, because the Amber Temple is definitely like a good. Are you ready for this kind of chapter? Because after this, Endgame is approaching, and it's approaching fast. Well, to me, there's two really kind of categories. There's the places that try to kill us as soon as possible, and the places that don't try to kill us as soon as possible. Let's say not try to kill us as soon as possible. One of the most unpleasant moments that I experienced was probably during the arena when Eivor was killed. Because even though Eivor was still with the group like for like a short time, he didn't find his place yet in the group. I mean, he did try to help as best he could. But that when seeing that death, it really gave kind of like a impact that this is just as serious as where he came from, or worse. And I gotta do what I can to keep everyone alive, if possible. Well, I was not there personally, but I did hear someone got almost beaten to death by a broomstick. Then I was bearing witness to someone trying to start a Cannibalism 101 cookbook with human flesh. And there's also me talking like a drunken sailor, with the sailor's mouth, of course, and sat. So that was definitely unexpected, though not funny, but there's a lot of different moments. I guess you gotta watch to find which one's your favorite. The saddest moments are definitely when some of our characters kind of contemplate on very difficult decisions. I know that Noella, Nevera, Yurik, and Semak, they all have experienced very difficult emotional times. I know Ryu has some passionate moments, but I definitely feel sad when these questions about the morals of our characters. Because though it's not shown outright, Eivor does have a lot of thoughts. And if they get to a point, he'll let them all out once. Now, so I hate Puck, but yet if it weren't for Puck, that bird-brained, arch-faced child of an idiot, if he didn't bring me to Barovia from Icewind Dale, I wouldn't be here. And since he is the most charismatic compared to that vampiric perfectionist named Strahd, then I think Puck wins is my favorite as of now. One of the favorite NPCs was Dritz. Before I was sent to Barovia in Icewind Dale, Dritz, played by Frank, was a character that came in and out that assisted a party. And if it weren't for his actions, he would not have been either alive or been here to help the Shadewalkers out in their endeavors. And with Dritz being one of the more iconic figures in the Dungeons & Dragons multiverse, he was a good pick to be one of my favorite NPCs. Now, when it comes to story arcs, which one's my favorite, I definitely do like the underdog arc where at the lowest point the group somehow succeeds. But I also like where small little actions, like we do something here that has an impact later on. And also like where little parts here and there, they all come together for one big result or big reaction because of the small things we did. Strahd's backstory is definitely something interesting because it's the very reason why Barovia is the way it is now. He started out a power and that got corrupted over time to be the demonic entity that we are facing now in a sense. It's definitely something that myself as a player, as well as the character Eivor, has seen elsewhere to that effect. And Eivor has seen what can be done with said power firsthand. One thing I definitely want to see is I know that the four focused characters are mostly Navera, Noella, Yerrick, and Sibinek. Those four are mostly centralized as well as others. But I do wish for more background look or more a little center on some of the other characters such as me, Rai, or Mari. But I also like to see what else can be brought out from all of our characters at this point. Because at this point in time, we are going through the final conflict, and anything can happen at this point. We can all live, only one of us will survive. Anything can happen. It's definitely an interesting question. If anything, I do believe the Shadewalkers will succeed, but I have a strong suspicion that a heavy price will have to be paid to do so, in one shape or another. Well, this was me, Tyler, as well as Eivor from D20 Misfits.
Holy shit, you actually were here for a whole session.
Yeah, because someone give me a ride for once.